Welcome to Prophets of Babel with your host, Janine. Today we are finishing the Law of the Land, fifth Sefer, and we are also reading Blessings and Curses. So we will finish it today. Hooray! Chapter 27, Social Order. And when thou art come unto the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, thou shalt not abide in the conversations of the ungodly, the corrupt desires of deceitful lust, as an old man unchanged, but shalt be renewed in the spirit of thy heart, that thou be a new person, born anew in righteousness and true holiness. Wherefore, thou shalt put away all lying, speak everyone truthfully unto their neighbor. Let no corrupt communications proceedeth out of thy mouth, but that which is good and edifying and increasing faith ye shall speak, that it may minister grace to the hearers, that ye grieveth not Yahweh thy Elohim. Put away thy anger, thy wrath, thy bitterness, and any malice, and be kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Yahweh hath forgiven you, walking together in love. The primary authority over every child is the mother. The authority in any household is the patriarch of the family, the head of the house. To him let all give heed, but the Torah is over all. And should the patriarch die, his firstborn son is head in his house. Nevertheless, in the dwelling, he shall not rule over the matriarch, nor his mother, nor the mother of his brothers. He shall honor them all the days of his life. As it is written, thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother all thy days. Thou shalt not depart from them, nor rebel against them. Thou shalt abide with them, except they send thee away with a blessing, that thou mayest build them up, or be established by thine own hand. And thou shalt seek to establish thy sons. Thou shalt build them up with thee, or part them a portion of thine inheritance, as shall be meet, that they may grow up, and in their honor bring honor to thee. And of the widows, or the little children, or the servants, or any members of thy household, thou shalt provide for them according to their station and thy possessions. If thou and thy household should do it not, they shall go before the elders of the judge, and these shall appoint them their portion, as shall be just, but the inheritance shall remain one. Over the inheritance, the firstborn shall have the highest portion, and his portion shall be double. And if anyone having a portion divideth it among his posterity, he need not to respect the firstborn. They shall do as seemeth them good. But if the firstborn is not worthy to keep up the dignity of the household, and thou wilt abase him and exalt another in his stead, thou shalt bring him before the judges at the judgment seat of the city, and show what evil he hath done. And if thou clearly show that he is unworthy, and that the other is worthy, the judge shall declare it, and then it shall come to pass that thou shalt abase him and adopt the other. But if thou hast neglected to instruct him and to restrain him, then so too shall the judge declare it, and thou shalt not abase him. The sin shall be upon thy head. Thou shalt not sell thy daughter. Thou shalt invest for her in marriage, but thou shalt endow her of raiment and goods and flocks, according to thine ability, and thou shalt give her in marriage only to whom she loveth, and who is worthy. Yea, thou shalt not give her to a stranger, nor to anyone that despises the Torah of Yahweh, nor to a blasphemer. And everyone shall give a portion to their children, a dowry to his wives, and a possession to his servants, while he liveth, and except it is manifestly unjust, the judge shall not change it after their death. And it shall be determined by their last blessing, so shall it be. And if it be made sure before, it shall not be changed. The rulers, yea, they who have a great possession for an inheritance according to their dignity, shall reserve a portion according to his dignity to their firstborn. And to their other sons shall they give portions as common men, that they seek not to make rulers of them all. And should a ruler have servants, and they eat not their bread at his table, he shall appoint them their portions in his inheritance, that they hunger not. And upon his inheritance he shall be as a father to them, but he shall not exact more than a tenth of them, and it shall be as a tithing of all. 28. In mercy. And when thou dost lend thy brother anything, thou shalt not go into his house to fetch his pledge. Thou shalt stand abroad, and the man to whom thou dost lend shall bring out the pledge abroad unto thee. And if the man be poor, thou shalt not sleep pledge. In any case, thou shalt deliver him the pledge again when the sun goeth down, that he may sleep in his own raiment and bless thee, and it shall be righteousness unto thee before Yahweh thy Elohim. Thou shalt not oppress a hired servant that is poor and needy, whether they be of thy brethren or of the strangers that are in the land within thy gates. At their days thou shalt give them their hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it, for they are poor, and setteth their heart upon it, lest they cry against thee unto Yahweh, and it be sin unto thee. The fathers shall not be put to death for the children, neither shall the children be put to death for their fathers. Everyone shall be put to death of their own sin. Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor of the fatherless, nor take a widow's remnant in pledge. But thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondsman in Egypt, and Yahweh thy Elohim redeemed thee thence. Therefore I command thee to do this thing. When thou cuttest down thine harvest in the field, and hast forgot a sheaf in the field, thou shalt not go again to fetch it. It shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow, that Yahweh thy Elohim may bless thee in all the work of thine hands. And when thou beatest thine olive tree over the boughs again, it shall be for the stranger, for the fatherless, and for the widow. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondsman in the land of Egypt. Therefore I command thee to do this thing. And if there be any controversy between people, and they come unto judgment, that the judges may judge them, then they shall justify the righteous and condemn the wicked. And it shall be, for the wicked one be worthy to be beaten, then the judge shall cause him to lie down and to be beaten before their face, according to their fault, that they be given 40 stripes, but no more, lest they be seen as vile unto thee. And these are thy brothers and thy sisters. Chapter 29, the first fruits. And it shall be that thou, when thou art come in unto the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee for an inheritance, and possessest it, and dwelleth therein, that thou shalt take of the first of all the fruit of the earth, which thou shalt bring of thy land, that Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, and shalt put it in a basket, and shall go unto the place which Yahweh thy Elohim shall choose to place his name there. And thou shalt go unto the priest, that thou shalt be in those days, and say unto him, I profess this day unto Yahweh thy Elohim, that I am come unto the country of Yahweh, sworn unto our fathers to give us. And the priest shall take the basket out of thy hand, and set it down before the altar of Yahweh thy Elohim. And thou shalt speak and say before Yahweh thy Elohim, an inhabitant ready to perish was my father, and he went down unto Egypt, and sojourneth there with a few, and became there a mighty nation, great and populous. And the Egyptians in evil did they entreat us, and they afflicted us and laid upon us their hard bondage. And when we cried unto Yahweh, the Elohim of our fathers, Yahweh heard our voice and looked on our affliction and our labor and our oppression. And Yahweh brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs and with wonders. And Yahweh hath brought us into this place, and hath given us this land, even a land that floweth with milk and honey. And now, behold, I have brought the firstfruits of the land, which thou, O Yahweh, hast given me. And after this, thou shalt set it before Yahweh thy Elohim, and worship before Yahweh thy Elohim. And thou shalt rejoice in every way thy Elohim, which Yahweh thy Elohim hath given unto thee, and given thine house, thou and the Levite and the stranger that is among you. When thou hast made an end of tithing all the tithes of thine increase the third year, which is the year of tithing, and hast given it unto the Levite, the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, that they may eat within thy gate and be filled, then thou shalt say before Yahweh thy Elohim, I have brought away the hallowed things out of my house, and also have given them unto the Levite, and unto the stranger, to the fatherless, and to the widow, according to all thy mitzvah, which thou hast given me. I have not transgressed thy mitzvah, neither have I forgotten them. I have not eaten thereof in my mourning, neither have I taken away aught thereof from any unclean use, nor given aught thereof for the dead. But I hearkened to the voice of Yahweh my Elohim, and have done according to all thou hast commanded me. Look down from thy holy habitation from heaven, and bless thy people Israel, and the land which thou hast given us, as thou swearest unto our fathers, a land that floweth with milk and honey. And now behold, this day Yahweh thy Elohim hath commanded thee to do these statutes and judgments. Thou shalt therefore keep and do them with all thine heart and with all thy soul. Thou hast affirmed Yahweh this day to be thy Elohim, and to walk in his paths, and to keep in his statutes and his ordinances, and to hearken unto his voice. And Yahweh hath affirmed thee this day to be his peculiar people, as he hath promised thee, and that thou shouldest keep all his mitzvot, and to make thee high above all nations, which he hath made in praise, and in name, and in honor, and that thou mayest be a holy people unto Yahweh, thy Elohim, as he hath spoken. All right, blessings and curses. Chapter 30, the two mountains. And it came to pass that Moses, with the elders of Israel, commanded the people, saying, keep all the mitzvah, which I command you this day. And it shall be on the day when ye shall pass over Jordan unto the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, that thou shalt set thee up great stones and plaster them with plaster. And thou shalt write upon them all the words of the Torah, which thou, when thou art passed over, that thou mayest go in unto the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee, a land that floweth with milk and honey, as Yahweh the Elohim of thy father hath promised thee. Therefore it shall be, when ye be gone over Jordan, that ye shall set up these stones, which I command you this day, and thou shalt plaster them with plaster, and there shalt thou build an altar unto Yahweh thy Elohim, an altar of stones. Thou shalt not lift up any iron tool upon them. Thou shalt build the altar of Yahweh thy Elohim of whole stones, and thou shalt offer thy offerings thereon unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and thou shalt offer peace offerings, and thou shalt eat there and rejoice before Yahweh thy Elohim. And thou shalt write upon the stones all the words of his Torah very plainly. And Moses and the priests spoke unto all Israel, saying, Take heed and hearken, O Israel. This day thou art becoming the people of Yahweh thy Elohim. Thou shalt therefore obey the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, and do his mitzvah, and obey his statutes, which I command thee this day. And Moses charged the people the same day, saying, These shall stand upon the mount Gerizim to bless the people when ye are come over Jordan, Simeon and Levi and Judah and Issachar and Joseph and Benjamin. And these shall stand about Mount Abal to deliver the curse. Reuben, Gad, Asher, and Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali. And the Levites shall speak and say unto all of Israel with a loud voice, Cursed be they that maketh any graven or molten image, which is detestable before Yahweh, the work of the hands of man, and putteth it in a secret place. And all the people shall answer and say, So mote it be. Cursed shall be they that degrade their father or their mother, and all the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed be they that removeth the boundary mark of their neighbor, and all the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed be they that maketh the blind to wander out in the road, all the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed be they that pervert the judgment of the stranger, fatherless, and widow, and all the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed be he that lieth with his father's wife, because he uncovereth the garments of his father, and all the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed be they that lieth with any manner of beast, and the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed be he that lieth with his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother, and all the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed be he that lieth with his mother-in-law, and all the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed be they that smiteth their neighbor in secret, and all the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed be they that taketh reward to slay an innocent person, and all the people shall say, So mote it be. Cursed shall be they that conformeth not all the words of this Torah to do them, and all people shall say, So mote it be. Amen. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh, thy Elohim, to observe and to do all his mitzvah, which I command thee this day, that Yahweh thy Elohim will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, thy kin, and the flocks of thy sheep. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out. And Yahweh thy shall cause thine enemies that rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way, and flee before thee 7 ways. And Yahweh shall command a blessing upon thee in thy storehouses, and in all that thou settest thine hand unto, and he shall bless thee in the land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee. And Yahweh shall establish thee a holy people unto himself, and he hath sworn unto thee, if thou keep the commandments of Yahweh thy Elohim, and walk in his ways. And all people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of Yahweh, and shall fear him. And Yahweh shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of the ground in the land which Yahweh swore unto thy fathers to give thee. And Yahweh shall open unto thee his good treasure, the treasures, the heavens, to give the rain unto the land in his good season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. and thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And Yahweh shall make thee the head and not the tail, and thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the mitzvah of Yahweh thy Elohim, which I command thee this day to observe and to do them. And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day to the right hand or to the left, to go after other Elohim to serve them. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to observe to do all his mitzvah and his ordinances, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thine kine, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. And Yahweh shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that thou settest thy hand unto, for to do until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. And Yahweh shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he hath consumed thee from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And Yahweh shall smite thee with a consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. And Yahweh shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. And Yahweh shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall frighten them away. Yea, Yahweh will smite thee with the boils of Egypt, and tumors, and with scabs, and with the itch, whereof thou canst not be healed. Yea, Yahweh shall smite thee with madness, and blindness, and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in the ways. And thou shalt be continually oppressed and carried away, with no one to deliver thee. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and there shall not gather grapes thereof. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. Thy daughters and thy sons shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall be a nation which thou knowest not. Eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou should be made mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. And Yahweh shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the toe of thy foot unto the top of thy head. And Yahweh shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other Elohim, yea, other gods of woods and stone, made by the hands of men. And thou shalt become an object of horror, a byword, a taunt by all nations whither Yahweh shall send thee. Thou shalt carry much seed out of the land, and shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worms shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coast, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine oil shall cast off its fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All thy trees and fruits of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that should live among thee shall rise up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, until thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep his mitzvah and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servest not Yahweh thy Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, the abundance of all things. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahweh will send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And Yahweh shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue shall not you will not understand, a mighty and fierce nation, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And they shall eat the fruit of thy herds and the fruit of thy land until thou shalt be destroyed. And they shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of the offspring, thy herds, or flocks of thy sheep, until they have destroyed thee. And they shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy high and fenced walls shall come down, wherein thou trustest, throughout all thy land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, throughout all thy land, with Yahweh thy Elohim hath given thee, and thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body, the flesh of the sons and of the daughters, which Yahweh thy Elohim hath given thee, in the siege and in the straitness wherein thine enemies shall distress thee. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he hath nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness thereof, wherein thine enemies shall distress thee in all thy gates. And the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness, wherein thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this Torah that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahweh thy Elohim, then will Yahweh make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. Moreover, Yahweh will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of this Torah, them will Yahweh bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. and ye shall be left few in numbers, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldst not obey the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim. And it shall come to pass that as Yahweh rejoiced over you to do you good and to multiply you, so Yahweh will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. And Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even until the other. And there thou shalt serve other Elohim, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone, made by the hands of men. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. And in the morning thou shalt say, Oh, that it were evening. And at evening thou shalt say, Oh, that it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spoke unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no one shall buy you. Chapter 52, the return of Israel. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither Yahweh thy Elohim hath driven thee, and shalt return unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children, with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that Yahweh thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither from Yahweh thy Elohim hath scattered thee. And if any of thine be driven out into the outmost parts of the heavens, from thence will Yahweh thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahweh thy Elohim will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and will possess it, and he will be thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And Yahweh thy Elohim will circumcise thine heart and the heart of thy seed, to love Yahweh thy Elohim with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live. And Yahweh thy Elohim will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee, which persecuteth thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahweh, and do all his mitzvah which I command thee this day. And Yahweh thy Elohim will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of the land for good. For Yahweh will again rejoice over thee for good, as he rejoiceth over thy fathers, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep his mitzvah and his ordinances which are written in this book of the Torah, and if thou turn unto Yahweh thy Elohim with all thine heart and with all thy soul. For this mitzvah which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, Who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither is it beyond the sea, that thou shouldest say, Who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very nigh unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, that thou mayest do it. Look and see that I have set before thee this day life and good, and death and evil. In
that I command thee this day to love Yahweh thy Elohim, to walk in his ways, and to keep his mitzvah and his ordinances and his customs, that thou mayest live and multiply. And Yahweh thy Elohim shall bless thee in the land whither thou goest to possess it. But if thine heart turn away, so that thou wilt not hear, but shall be drawn away, and worship other Elohim, and serve them, I denounce unto you this day that ye shall perish, and that ye shall not prolong your days upon the land whither thou goest, whither thou passest over Jordan to go to possess it. I call the heavens and earth to record this day against you, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both thou and thy seed may live, that thou mayest love Yahweh thy Elohim, that thou mayest obey his voice, and that thou mayest cleave unto him, for Yahweh is thy life. And shall the length of thy days, that thou mayest dwell in the land which Yahweh swore unto thy fathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, to give them. And when in blessing Yahweh thy Elohim shall bestow upon thee any great and choice blessing, or in his abundant charity shall deliver thee from any great calamity, thou shalt assemble together thy wives and thy children, thy friends and thy neighbors, and shalt celebrate his glorious goodness with thank offerings and feastings and music and dancing. And for the chief blessings of Yahweh to thee, thou shalt keep it in remembrance from year to year, and keep it and teach it to thy children, that they who inherit the blessings may not forget gratitude to the giver, and the remembrance of the goodness of Elohim to be preserved throughout all generations. So mote it be. And these are the words which Moses gave unto Israel, which are the Torah which Yahweh did give unto Moses in that day that he ascended into the mountain. All right, that is the end, guys. All right, that is the end, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me on Prophets of Babel for the reading of the Sefer of Moses. I hope you have found something inside of it that speaks to you, and that you may find your walk with the path, on the path to our Savior.